Morning. How y'all doing? We are out here on the 17th of May, and it's a rainy day once again. And we're going to do a little work in a honey house today. I was trying to look back and see when the last honey house video was, and it's been a little bit. So we've done some upgrades and got some different things in here that maybe you haven't seen yet. And we've got about 6 supers here that we're going to extract and show you a little bit of how that goes. But rainy day, bees have slowed down a lot. We've been having off and on rain. I think it's washing out some of the nectar in the flowers, and the like smoke out there. The flow has really slowed down a lot here in the last week or so. We really was putting in a lot. Got some of the honey over here. We'll show you. I'm not sure if you can see it in this shot or not, but slowed down some. We got 6 to extract. It's a rainy day, so it's a good day to extract it. So we'll show you around a little bit. All right, we're gonna take a little walk around first around the honey house, just to kind of show you what I got in here. We've got I got a couple fans for if I need to lower the humidity on some honey. These supers that we're going to extract today, there's some frames that's uncapped. If they're too high in moisture, we'll leave them and run the dehumidifier and try to get the moisture down. I got all my plastic jars. I got some boxes that's got honey in them, but I'm probably going to put these back on the hives. I've got a Daydent 25-gallon bottling tank that I'm looking to sell and hadn't sold yet. Got a wax melter back there. It needs to be cleaned out. I've been putting up some towel rods, which have been helping out a lot. I've just got a tank with a basket. I've been using that some. I helped Kevin extract the other night. He extracted or uncapped in that tank, and I uncapped in this one. Fixing to get a bigger uncapping tank. This one's probably only 24 inches wide. I'd like to have one at least 48. Trying to get a bigger capping tank and a sump. I want to get a sump and then a honey pump and a filter where I don't have to lift buckets. Preparation for old age. That won't happen for another at least 40 years. This is my extractor. It's a Hilco 18 frame extractor that we've got. It really speeds things up a lot. Holds 18 frames, but I can't hardly, it's difficult to get 18 frames uncapped because I don't have the uncapping space. So it seems as though in this hobby sideliner that we chose to participate in, that one big purchase just leads to another. So it seems like it's a never-ending game to keep buying new and bigger stuff. Had a couple more holding tanks. I got stands for those. I need to get a stand for that one. Don't have one. Got my buckets ready to go. I got my nylon cloth ready to go. I go through a double screen. They're over here. I go through the double screens into a bucket, and then that bucket goes through a nylon cloth, and then from this container, after it goes through that, it goes to the bottling tank on that side of the room. So I had one shelf in here until about a week ago, and then I started putting up some other shelves that you may recognize. I thought originally that those would look rustic, but it ends up they're clean, but they look dirty, so I may end up painting those too. So the ones I put up on this wall are just deep boxes, and they got painted. Looks a lot better. Got my hot water heater down there, my 3-base sink, my mop sink. Apparently I still have to have a hand washing sink, which is ridiculous, but if I want to have an inspected honey house, that's what I gotta have. Went ahead and hung the TV up. It's a smart TV, so I can watch YouTube, and Netflix is what I end up watching out here. Got my air conditioner / heater, dehumidifier. I try to keep this table mostly cleaned off so I can set things on it. Got me some towels and just various things we'll use in here. That's the supers we need to extract. Trash can, I'm always constantly sweeping and mopping. I got my mop bucket there. It seems like it's, I don't know, it seems like you work for an hour and mop for 2 hours. Heated bottling tank from Hilco. It's an 18-gallon. So it'll hold, each one of those boxes holds about 2.5 gallons of honey. So 2 boxes is 5, and 6 boxes would be 15 gallon. So I can extract all that and fit it in this tank. And then we got our caps and jars, quart jars down there. And then we try to keep some honey bottled and ready to go. I keep some labeled so it's ready. I'm working on a labeling system. We do samples. Got a couple samples out there of the light and the dark. And got a paper towel rack that my dad built. And I'm using it to roll out my labels on. Got our labels up here. Refrigerator with some water and Big Red and sardines. Gotta have them. But I got that there, and then we just got the doors here. We can open both doors if we have to because of all the abundance of honey that's coming in here once this rain quits. So this is outside. We live in the Salt River Bottoms. This was the old farmhouse for the bottom land he farmed. There's an old barn down that way, and there's another one over this way. And he farmed all this bottom land, and it got sold and split up as farms do nowadays. And now we just have the house here and garage with the honey house. So we're gonna get to it and see if we can do a little extraction, try to get some of these boxes uncapped and check for moisture, and we'll go from there. All right, I really like having this roll around cart. I've actually got 3 of them. This one's just a roll around cart, and the other 2 are have jacks where you can jack them up and change the level, which is really handy for absolutely everything. So if I was using my roll around cart like I do sometimes, I could, as I work my way down on the supers, I could jack it up and keep it at a comfortable work level, which matters more as I get older. I don't have a hive tool in here. I bet I've got 7 hive tools, and I know where one of them is, I think, right now. So you can't never have too many hive tools. All right, this is a typical super that you get. This is on the outside, so there's some that's not capped. This is capped and looks good. This side, not so much. But it's not one that I would worry about the moisture being low in, so I can uncap it. This is one that is not completely full and is barely capped, and one that I would want to check the moisture in. And it'll give me an idea as to where we stand with the other hives or supers, the other supers that we've got, where we stand with those and what they're going to look like. Because whatever this one looks like is most probably what the other ones are going to look like. So we'll check this one. All right, so this is my moisture meter, refractometer, and that's what we're going to use to check the moisture. The screen is clean. I'll make sure they don't have anything on it. And then we'll just dab our finger in this on the side without the caps. And then we'll try to cover that whole screen and then check it. And it's reading just below 20.2, so that's not a frame we want to extract. So we'll clean that off good. You can extract a frame like that. If you had a bunch of frames that was 15%, it'll kind of equal itself out. But if we've got a room that's airtight, that's well insulated that we can turn the dehumidifier on and put a fan on this and get it down, then that's what we're going to do. So I'll extract everything that I can and make sure it's not low in moisture, and then all the other I'll dehumidify, and I can extract that after I get the moisture down a little bit. If you extract it and get it in a bucket and the moisture's too high, it's much more difficult to get that moisture down. It's possible, but much more difficult. All right, so this is the frame right next to that frame. We've cleaned off our lens. It's well capped on this side, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm really not worried about this, but I'm going to check it just for y'all. Okay, and that one's running between 18.1 and 19.2. Not sure if you can see that or not. There it is. There's what it's reading. So it's just a little bit over 18, but it'll be fine blended with all that capped honey. You always want, when you use a refractometer, you always want the refractometer at the same temperature as your honey. You don't want to bring your honey out from inside a cool house to outside in a hot honey house or garage. You always want them the same temperatures. All right, so we know our honey's good except for that one frame. So as long as we don't have a bunch of frames like that, we should be good, good to go. So whatever frames we do have like that, we'll set them to the side and we can dehumidify them, get the moisture out of them. All right, we got our hot knife. We got it on a surge protector, and we've got a thermostat on this one. So we can turn it up. It goes from low to high. You got to be careful about not overheating the honey on it. It will overheat and it will change the flavor of your honey somewhat, although it's not drastic. A lot of the smells that I really like, that's one of them that you get in the honey house, is when that knife gets overheated. Then my wife hates it. She hates the smell of propolis. I love it. Just the way it works. It's funny because my son-in-law Kevin is getting into it now, and he's my daughter said, "I don't like it. You smell like my dad." So he's coming in smelling like bees and propolis, and it reminds her of me. I've done this, I guess, her whole life. Pretty much her whole life. I've done it for 25 years, and she's in her 30s. So, yeah, I'm not sure she appreciates it. I think she does, but she wouldn't tell you. Turn you this way, you can see a little better. If I don't stand right in the way. All right, so here's our frame. This is one we just checked. It's a little bit over 18% on this side, but the other side's completely capped. So our knife is getting hot. And this is, everybody does it different. And some people say, well, cut from the top down. And this is just the way. It's like Mike Berry. This is the way I do it. I've done it a long time. And all with this knife. I've had this knife for 25 years as I drip on the floor. So I've uncapped a lot of frames with it, and that's just the way I do it. All right, so that one goes in the extractor. Next one, the rest of these are all capped. So that's a really nice capped frame of honey there. I always use 9-frame spacers in my boxes so that they pull this honey out enough to get the uncapping knife on it. And even with 9, you'll see it won't hit every. Some of it will be below of what the knife can get. You can either cut them like this, or I keep a capping scratcher in the tank, and I'll get it out sometimes and use it. Sometimes you can go a little bit deeper with the hot knife and get them off. But I always got that capping scratcher in there if I need it. Okay, that one's good. I've got 18 of these to do for this load in the extractor. So if you got 9 frame spacers, do two supers. So I can put 2 supers in there, and then I know 2 supers is a 5-gallon bucket of honey. So every time I run the extractor, I get a 5-gallon bucket of honey out. And that knife will cool off as it runs through honey. As that honey gets on it, it cools it off. So it goes through a process of heating up and cooling off and heating up and cooling off just by running the honey through it. All right, I'm going to show you one more. This is from the center, but it's not completely capped, but I think we're okay with their moisture level. I'll show you one more, and then I'm going to do the rest of them, and then I'll show you when we get to the extracting stage. We turn the extractor on. All these cappings go down in the tank. They're sitting on a screen, and they'll drain. They drain actually pretty good, not more than you think they would. Just sitting there in the tank. All the honey drains off of them. It's just super slow. And it depends on how hot you keep this room too. If you warm it up a little bit, it goes a lot faster. So a lot of times what I do, I cool it off in here when I'm working because I'm soft. And then at nighttime I'll heat it up and let it get everything hot, and it makes that honey drain a lot quicker. But that's all really super light honey. Be really good. And like I say, I'll uncap the rest of these and I'll show you when we extract them. All right, we got our extractor filled up. The Hilco 18 frame, and we got it turned up to 50, 49.9, and it's just finishing up getting the last of the honey out and filling up our bucket very quickly. You gotta be very careful on filling buckets. I try to let this get about 3/4 full, and then let that double screen drain out, and then we'll go into our nylon cloth, into the nylon cloth back here, and put our bucket in that bucket holder and let it drain down in that. And we go through that into a bucket. We got good clean honey, and then we'll come in over here to our bottling tank. Pour it into here. It should hold all 6 of these supers. I know it will because we're leaving some frames out. But it'll all fit in here. We'll let it warm up for a couple days, and then we'll either bottle it or put it in a bucket. So while that one's draining, we can get another one and another double screen. And let it start filling up. Always keep a rag handy. You always plan to not get sticky when we do this, and every time you can't help it. Your hands are gonna get sticky, you're gonna drip a drop, and then you're gonna step in it, and then you're gonna track it all over your floor. It's just a sticky process. Anyway, we got that one bucket that's about 3/4 full. Our strainer should be about empty. I think I got, this is a good clean bucket here. So we can put our strainer and let it drain in that one. And then we're going to take that bucket that's 3/4 full, and then we're going to dump it into that tank and go through a nylon cloth. And these cone-shaped strainers are designed to set low enough where to hold about a 5-gallon bucket. 3 gallons is 5 gallon would be pretty close to running over. I'll make sure my cloth don't pull in and it all actually goes through the cloth and not around it. Make sure your valve's closed. Don't ask me how I know. And then it drains through that pretty quick. But it will fill up. You fill that up about 3 or 4 times, 5 times, it gets so much little sediment in it, it actually clogs up the nylon cloth. So I'll use 3 or 4 buckets, depending on how much honey I'm doing. I'll do 3 or 4 buckets through that one. And then I'll set up the other one with another nylon cloth. I'll let this one drain. When it gets completely drained, I'll spray it out, clean it all up good, and then keep switching back and forth. So it helps to have extra tanks and extra places to put the honey. Really helps a lot in giving you a chance to get things cleaned out. These double screens clog up pretty fast too. They don't, 2 or 3 buckets through them, and then honey won't hardly go through them because they're screening out so much wax and bees and parts and all that stuff. So helps to have more than one. All right, that's been running long enough. I think it's good. We've got our knife turned on low, and we're just going to repeat the process. We're going to take those 18 frames out, and then we're going to do 18 more. I already got honey all over the floor off the bottom of the bucket. But we'll take those 18 out, we'll uncap 18 more and put those in there until we get it all. We'll probably try to get it all into this tank. And then once we get it all into there, we'll let it settle a little bit. Another way of filtering honey or to getting the stuff out of it, you don't really have to filter it. If you could leave it set in this tank long enough, fill this tank up and let it sit, any sediment or anything that's in the honey is going to come up to the top, and then the valve's on the bottom. So that's another way to kind of do it. But we go through the nylon cloth, we'll fill this up. When it gets full, we'll start taking 5-gallon buckets over to the bottler. So anyway, that's a little bit in the honey house this morning. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.